I'm a little new to OBS 32. Hold on, give me just a quick sec. Just wanted to close the door so that my voice doesn't travel so far down the hall. Okay, so and Kahan, if you're not in here, I'll still type into the IRCs. So well, okay, so here let me just do this in the chat real quick here. Um, reason I'm doing this in phases so I can build a step at a time and have a full working game at the end of each phase. So I will eventually add that functionality in the later phases. So eventually add that functionality in the later phases. It's just so that I don't have much to do on any phase. Okay, so let me tell you what's up. If you are watching, and ooh, OBS is down here in the my little tray icon here. You can't see that because I haven't switched to desktop. Maybe I should switch to desktop so you don't have to look at my face directly. You know, I'm a little self-conscious, not real self-conscious, but a little bit. Um, you know, like here, let's just do this. Okay, this is my desktop now. Um, this is okay. So this is the actual. This is the repository OBS Studio right here. Um, and I haven't like removed it or anything. And so it's got their own icon. I picked this film strip icon thing for the flat pack version, so I know the difference. And I might eventually just get rid of this version of OBS. I'm not sure, but anyways, okay, so it's I named this stream or described the stream. Well, first I renamed it. Okay, I just actually just did this just before I got on the stream. Here, let me see. So instead of calling it Enchanted Lands Magical Resort devlog, 201, whatever, like I was doing, I wanted something a little less coder centric. Dev stream. People think you're a developer. They think programming maybe. I just wanted to be a little bit, not necessarily vague, but a little bit more general audience, right? So I'm calling it Building Enchanted Lands Magical Resort, Episode 201, Part 1. So it sounds a little bit better, and I wanted the building part in there to show that I'm making it, and you know, and for someone that has no clue what's going on, it leaves a little bit of mystery so that when they actually get on it, maybe more people will click on it because of what it says. Anywho, I called it going back to formula, a little Sam Raimi Spider-Man reference because uh okay, so let's go ahead and pull up here. Okay, so this first 90 minutes is now an hour and 10 minutes because I kind of wasted time. Um, um, what was I saying? You know how I go. I got ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it. I was diagnosed with hyperactivity when I was a kid, especially colors, um, artificial colors and sugar would really hype me out, and I would be crazy. In fact, for a tiny short period of time, I was put on Ritalin. I think my mom did that, and my dad saw me acting nuts because of Ritalin, and immediately had me taken back off of it. So I don't know if that damaged me permanently or not. I don't know, but apparently it was so crazy that they had to take me back off of it. Um, and so I've mellowed out now over the years, but I still got attention deficit really really bad. I get distracted really really easily, and I forget stuff and whatever. So, anywho, let's here. Let me go check. Um, let's let's bring this. Oh, cool. Well, cool, Khan. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Um, let me game dev. Oh, okay. Greetings. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, now what was I going to bring up? I was actually going to bring up Redot and show the kind of familiar thing that I have been working with. Okay, for the past year, I guess, November 2024 is when I technically started this late. You know, I stopped and started the game several times and prequels and various things, you know, here and there over the years. But the actual really starting to make this game in earnest was last year. So let's go to the 2D workspace here and Redot. Okay, so you see all this, right? All these boxes and stuff. Um, there's a reason I was gonna show this. Um, okay, I have all these rooms. These all they're not rooms, they're pages, but it's using the room class because eventually I'm gonna transform into room class by the phase system that I was talking about. So basically, I am intending to do this in phases where I build upon the last phase, and it's the same game, but I expand it. I'm going to watch that on my second screen and see if it helps you folks. Cool beans. That's cool. Okay. Anyways, here let me show you something real quick. This is OBS 32 flat pack, which you might have already seen this. I'm on Linux Mint right now, Linux Mint proper this time. Now actually got the chat in here. I don't have to actually look at the web page, although the web page is up in a another browser window. Um, so that's kind of interesting. It's actually showing me. It's showing me like it always does, I guess. Um, anyways, that's not important. They see how distracted I get usually. Um, okay, so the idea about the phases is because I had a hard time wrapping my mind around stuff, especially visually. Honestly, you know, I used to draw cartoon characters. I can copy pretty good in drawing on paper, and I guess I was okay on tablet. Now I'm like way worse on tablet. I'll have to figure out. Um, I'll have to practice. In fact, I'm hoping to start practicing like at night or something, and then like playing them while I'm developing this thing, so that nobody has to go through kind of the boring stuff, or at least there's something to look at while I'm explaining the boring stuff. Okay, so I start with one phase, then I add something to it, add something to the engine essentially. Um, then I add something more in the next one, and eventually I'll add graphics and sound. I'll add full interactivity. It'll eventually become a text adventure, a regular text adventure, right? With puzzles, actual rooms you can return to, just like like a regular interactive fiction or text adventure, right? And then I add the graphics and animation and stuff later on, and eventually it'll become um, and so I was intending to the early phases to make sure that the iteration time is, you can think of phases as iterations basically. So I'm iteratively, how do I say that? Iteratively building the game. So and then of course I've already said this many times, but I wanted to do the simplest form of adventure that I could. I wanted to start with that, right? Which is choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure. All it is their pages. You know, just text description, and that tells you to turn to a page. In this case, it would be on the computer. So it'd be you click on a choice, right, or select a choice from a list of choices. In this case, the number keys or the numpad keys. And so that is the simplest form. And then later on, I'm going to expand. I'm going to expand the rooms to include multiple choice sets, multiple auxiliary descriptions. Like you'll have your main description, like this is such and such a room. You have this here and this here, and then if there's something that's different, for instance, you turn on a light and then you come back to the same location, the same room. Now it will have a separate auxiliary description, and it'll work just exactly the same as this works with the multiple pages. It'd be like multiple pages in one data file, or one chunk of data, right? Room descriptor thing, and then eventually I'm gonna make it a proper. I'll have a proper save state. I'll have you know there'll be actual locations like you would in a regular adventure game. So that's just the reason for that. I mean, I could have did the save state system. I could have done everything. I could have done the full, build a complete graphic adventure point and click from scratch, and but um, what I wanted to do is I have to do some things, like I have to work on my drawing skills, and I have to work on certain things, right? And so I was saying this will give me time to do that. So I'll make this phase in text, and then I'll the next one's in text. Next phase is actually just removing the navigational choices from the actual choices, so that because you're going to be moving directionally independent. So you'll either point and click with the mouse, or you'll hit arrow keys to move a character around the screen. And so going towards that, I would be the next thing would be just having a separate set of choices that are directionals. WASD, or whatever keys I decide. North, south, east, and west. Literally, and NSEW as far as where you go, or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. It just means I'm separating them, and then later on I add this, and then I add the multiple choice sets, and then eventually I have the save state system, and I start introducing some background graphics. It'll still be primarily text. I'll have a text parser at one point, full text parser. It'll have inventory, you'll have puzzles, and the whole 9 yards, before it actually becomes a graphic adventure. So that's what I was doing. Okay, so the problem here is this is taking ages and ages and ages, because I have 93 original pages, or original story beats. I call them story beats, right? Which would be pages slash rooms. Eventually, the locations would be real locations, and so there would be stuff that happens in those rooms at certain times in the game. Um, and so I was trying to get from story beat to story beat. I mean, if you've watched this at all, um, here, let me switch back here. Okay. If you watch this at all, you know how long it takes me to do it. And I realize that I spend a lot of time with the AI asking it stuff. But the best thing that the AI that I found can do is being the sounding board. It's like rubber duck debugging, right? You talk to an inanimate object to kind of to have your thoughts kind of out there, as if you're talking to a person. And then later on, when you're sleeping or whatever, the solution will come to you, because you laid it all out, and organized it, right. You organize it by speaking to it. So the AI is really good at that kind of thing. So even though I don't say I never take ideas from the AIs, I say I don't do it most of the time. Most of the time I have my own ideas. Usually it'll suggest some things, and then I'll go, let me think, and then I'll instantly think of something, maybe something else. It'll trigger something, a thing in the thought process, and so then I'll formulate my deal. And occasionally it comes up with something genuinely funny or interesting that I want to put it in directly. And I've done that once or twice, maybe. Not very much, because I don't want the AI to actually do the work. I'm still doing the work. It's still my game. I don't want it to be AI generated game. It's just that I'm using it to kind of help me. Kind of like what you do with you doing brainstorming, you doing mind mapping, or whatever. It's a tool sort of like that, except for I get to treat it like a person. I get to talk to it, and it gives me feedback. And so I actually find that pretty preferable, maybe to doing brainstorming on paper or whatever. However, that's going to change because people find that extremely boring, and I get it. And I want to show you, or I want to show everybody. I want to show you. I'll say, I want to show you everything that I go through, every process. But honestly, you, once you know the process, you know the process, right? So I read, this does this here, and then they go here, and then I read both of those, and then I ask it, okay, what kind of choices could I have here? And then it comes up with stuff, and then I go, oh yeah, and then it triggers stuff in my mind, and then so once you've seen that, you've basically seen the process, right? So I don't need to show that, but at the same time, I still wanted to have this commitment to showing you every bit, you know. Anybody, even the biggest fan, even when I change over and do what I originally intended, even if you hung on every word I said, which I know none of you do, but I'm just saying, even if that was the case, you still wouldn't be able to see everything. You wouldn't remember everything, even if you watched everything. You watched everything. In fact, a lot of it would blend together, and you might not know some stuff. Sure, there'd be spoilers. There'll be some certain parts that you caught on that you liked or thought was interesting or whatever, and then you'll remember it when you play the game, and you'll be able to go through that pretty easily. But I'm not really worried about people knowing the whole plot line and uh, you know the surprises and stuff because anybody that is watching me here, watching me build it, is interested in watching me build it, not necessarily playing it. Not that they wouldn't play it, not that I don't want you to play it, but their primary thing isn't playing it. So it'll be people that don't really watch it or don't watch it that often, or who are a fan and they pop in every so often to see how things are going. That will play it and like playing it, and you might have a better appreciation. I know that sometimes when I see if I'm watching a movie and I watch some of the behind the scenes stuff, I begin to appreciate the movie more, even if the movie isn't very good. But knowing all the stuff that went into it, sometimes you have more respect for what they tried to do and stuff. And so that may be you. You may be watching this and you may not even care that much about the game itself. You may like to just watch the building. But then again, you might play it later and go, "Oh, this is cool," because I remember when he had to do all this stuff and he was trying to figure this out. And so that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping to appeal to people that like to see things get built, basically. And it could be anything. It could be woodworking. It could be building a house. It could be making an album. It could be anything. You know, drawing comic books or whatever. Making cool stuff. Carving, sculpture, whatever it is. Making a game. Writing a book. Making a movie. That sort of thing. So I'm hoping to appeal to that. So in that spirit, I'm going. This is taking way too long. This is it's gonna take me a year or more just to get this stuff done. Now there'd be kind of an advantage in the sense that I'd have all the story stuff completely done, right? Even the stuff that I haven't thought of yet, or that I haven't bridged or made choices, or whatever the basis for puzzles. So it's not like it would be a bad thing if I finish this. But the only thing is the reason I have the YouTube channel is, well, I've had the YouTube channel for like ever, but the reason I'm doing this is so that you can watch and see a game getting built, and that's the purpose. So getting the game done and doing the YouTube channel, streaming or devlogs or whatever, um, are of equal importance to me. A lot of these guys say you can either be a YouTuber or you can be a game developer, you know. And I don't agree that you have to be one or the other. I think you could be both, you know. And there are actually some people that actually are quite successful. Um, Even the one that I'm always talking about, Blargus with his game Blood Thief, which is out now. Um, um, I can tell he's a game developer first, but the way he does his devlogs or his updates or whatever you want to call it, they're informative, they're funny, they're not too technical, but they're just technical enough. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes into that, and they're really fun to watch. So even if you never played the game, which I might never because I don't really have any money, I might do it anyways because I maybe want to support the guy. I believe I can run it in Linux. The other one, the Biggle Boss incident by oh, I keep Adam Bunker, I think is his name, a British dude. Um, he has the point and click devlog YouTube channel, and and he built an adventure game. And this is also kind of what spurred me on to doing what I'm doing here. Anyways, just suffice it to say that um, this wasn't intended to take this long. Now, I had mentioned several times that the game might take like years, right? Um, like at one point I was going to give myself 5 years, and then I said, well, that's probably too long. I'll give myself 2 years, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years to completely finish, to be completely done. And this could still take a very, very long time. I don't have a problem with it taking a long time, but I do have a problem with it not making progress or not seeming to make progress. And that's the biggest deal. That's the biggest thing I think keeps people watching your devlog or your stream. You know, there's a reason people like watching time lapses. Why? Because it goes from disorder and chaos to order and you know, a finished product, right? It's like building Tetris. You know, we're hardwired to want to go from disorder to order, right? So when you are playing Tetris, you have all these goofy pieces, and it gets faster and faster, and it's all chaotic and stuff. But it's satisfying when you finally get that 4 line, you know, Tetris block, and it disappears, and then they make sounds and the music, and it speeds up and all that stuff. So we're kind of hardwired to do that. So you like watching time lapses because you like watching it go from nothing to being something cool, right? That's why you watch woodworking guys doing projects or sculpture guys or you know someone doing a painting and they do a time lapse of it or they do like a journal or a log of it. So my biggest thing I think is the progress, and then the second biggest thing is the visuals, because nobody's gonna want to watch your video um, if it doesn't have anything interesting to look at. It doesn't have to be necessarily. I'm beginning to find out it doesn't necessarily have to be good. In other words, my drawing is going to be atrocious for like a while because I don't have control anymore, and I got shaky hands, or I guess I don't know, they're tremors or whatever. You can kind of see it a little bit, and it's worse sometimes and it's better in other times, and depending on what I'm doing, if I'm relaxed, I can be fairly steady, but um, I'm uh, I'm not that stick. Um, Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I know my audio is going, but oh, you know, I was doing this gesturing with my hands, and you can't even see it because I had it turned off. I had it turned off the other day for some reason. Um, but anyways, I can just show you my shaky hand here, right? Because I guess I didn't need to show you anything in the camera, but you know, I can't hold my hands perfectly still, and then it's less so with various things, and so my hands are really squiggly, and so it looks like you know, uh, it looks like I'm trying to draw in a hurricane. You know, it just goes all over the place. So that's why I need practice and for the control stuff. So so before I wasn't doing visuals because I'm not doing visuals here. Although it would still be a good idea to have visuals for when I'm coming up with stuff like for writing and stuff. I should be doing some concepting or something. But so but I'm realizing that the two important things is progress and visuals. So I'm gonna start adding visuals to to um, to the stuff. I'm gonna do it one of two ways. One is when I'm thinking up ideas, like I'm trying to brainstorm stuff. I guess I'll try to brainstorm on camera or on desktop, where I'll actually be drawing out my brainstorming session. You might say, so you're having something to look at. It doesn't mean it's great to look at or that it's interesting in and of itself or that's even um, not boring. It'll probably be almost just as boring. But at the same time, when I'm speaking, I'm talking, I'm coming up with stuff, you'll see it on screen, me actually doing something, and so visually, then people will pop in because they see maybe um, they'll see in the thumbnail. I do have the thumbnail, the little castle sketch that I made like years ago, but they might see a frame or they might see something or they'll pop in and they'll look and then they'll see I'm actually doing something visually, and so they might stay a little bit longer even if it is still kind of boring. So let's get going back to this. I calculate even if I did um, let's just say I've got 200 new pages here. And I'm only like 20% of the way through. So if you extrapolate that, that's going to be like a ridiculous amount, right? It's going to be 5 times as many, and it's just going to take forever. I don't have a problem with it having that many, but I do have a problem with taking forever, right? So I imagine it would take at least a year to get through this, and then I still have to go over with a like I have to have a like a narrative pass. Basically, I have to make it read like a story because right now it doesn't read like a story. It's just a series of events basically. So so that even that's going to take long. Even that's going to take long when I redo phase one here, but it's not going to take near as long. Whereas it might have taken me a year to completely finish this the way I'm going. Um, I still have the past and I still have the stuff that I need to do to finish up and everything. Um, that might turn a couple years deal for this phase into a few months, maybe as much as 8 months, right? Maybe it takes me 4 months to completely finish the deal, um, but and another 4 months to do the polish pass or the whatever the secondary pass, and maybe it still takes 8 months to do it. That's still a long time, but it's way shorter, and you'll see things progress. You'll see things get done. When I get done, um, well, let's do a minimum of say 10 pages or 10 rooms. You might say. Let's say let's say I shrink it down. I'm not shrinking it. I'm actually I'll just be combining story beats into a single page. But let's say I got it down to 10 pages, and they have like three. Here, let's go the worst case scenario, which is this guy, which is what I call the 15 pattern. It's where you hit all the options, but you can do them in any order. So like this is 1, 2, and 3 up here, and then um, down here are there's the two remainder choices, and that's this and this. And then what's left after that is just a single choice, right? And then it goes back down to the deal. That's 15 pages. And so if I take 10 pages times 15 pages, we'll say just a rough estimate, that's 150 pages total, and I already have more than that right now. I have more than 150 pages just on this 20% here. So if I get it down to 10, then I should be able to get this done in a couple of months, and then the next in a couple more months, I could get this phase one done in as short as 4 months or as long as 8 months, or shorter, or hopefully not longer, because I don't think it would be longer because getting like the finished product, right? So that's what I mean when I say going back to formula. You remember in um, I guess I'm not that big of a comics fan. I'm not saying I'm anti-comic or non-fan. What I'm saying is I don't read comics regularly. I like watching comic book movies, or at least I did until they started going woke and weird and stuff. But so I don't remember some of the names of the characters. In fact, Superman was kind of my thing when I was a kid. I liked Superman. I didn't care that much about Spider-Man. Later on, though, I watched the TV series when I was a kid from the '70s, and then of course I watched the Sam Raimi movies, and I watched a few of the newer movies, not all of them, but some of them, and I kind of like the movies. So um, forgive me if I forget Willem Dafoe's character's name. Um, it's on the top of my tongue, it's like right on my brain there, but I just can't think of it. Anyways, Green Goblin, right? Anyways, Willem Dafoe, he's got this serum, and I don't even remember what this stuff does. It's supposed to cure disease or something. I forget, or it's supposed to make you stronger or something, like super soldier kind of stuff. I don't remember. So forgive me if I don't remember the actual thing, because I haven't wore out Spider-Man, so um, I could watch that several more times before I like remember every single thing. But he gets mad because the board kind of kicks him off, and he says they want to go off to back to formula. In other words, they want to reformulate the things because there's some issue with it, and maybe that was something that his character. Um, yes. Um, okay, so Beru, I don't know Baru, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but in IRC was saying, no offense, but do you also work on your project in your stream, or is it more of yapping about games and stuff? Okay, so I'm explaining what I'm doing with my game because if you can see this here, I've been working on this thing for like I had 200 streams, 200 live dev streams, and I've been working on this for a year. And yes, I do talk about my thing. So today I'm actually gonna go back to the beginning, which is what I was trying to explain. So when I said going back to formula in the description, I was referring to Spider-Man, where Willem Dafoe's character basically gets mad that they want to take it back to formula. Basically, going back to the drawing board. So I'm going to go back to my original amount of rooms. Here, let me zoom out here and show you. Pero, where are the sexy parts? Yeah, exactly. I get it. It's okay. It's okay if you don't even watch it this time. But if you look at all of these are all the unfinished rooms, and this represents about 80% of the full story here. Okay, so this is what I've been doing, but these are way boring to watch. Nobody watches. Hardly anybody comes in and watches. Uh, so in order to change that, to hopefully get more people to come in, is I'm going to do what I originally intended. I originally intended to have a few pages, complete story. Phase one would be done in a few months, and it would be essentially, it would be all of this stuff, but they'd be in very very few rooms, very few pages here. So that's what I'm going to do right now, or what I'm going to do starting this week is I'm gonna reconstruct the original, and the reason I say reconstruct is because I've actually changed since when I started adding in actual like decision points here. and to explain, this is the choose your own adventure phase. So the first phase is just choose your own adventure style game right now, and it isn't even as much of a game as an interactive narrative, mostly because I make it into a game later on. Okay, so here, let me show you. Um, assuming you're still watching. Um, okay, so actually, let me pull this up full screen here. Walking out of laps with the head toward the road and talk to answer any more questions that John may have. John asks Hubert to give him a little more information about Enchanted Lands. Hubert relays a bit more information concerning the schools, the dwarf mines, the gnome kingdom, as well as the flying trains, which necessitates a brief explanation about magic and Enchanted Lands. Hit 1 if you wish to learn more about the schools. Hit 2 if you wish to know about dwarves and gnomes. Hit 3 if you're wondering about the conveyance you were in, which is the flying train. Okay, so so these are the choices, and door specs is a text description of the linkages basically. That's why these three lines are going out to the different deals. So you hit a button and you go there. In fact, let's see, Lapswood Edge. I'm gonna go ahead and run the current game here for a second, and I'm gonna go to switch room. Um, let's see. What's it? Okay, 010 Lapswood Edge. It's a naming convention, so I have to be accurate. 010 lap. Whoops, Lapswood Edge. Okay, so this is what I just read to you, and there's three keys. So let's learn more about the schools. Hit 1. Hubert explains the 4 magical schools: Knight School, Princess Preparatory, Wizard University, and Fairy God College. Give tourists a brief training in being a knight, princess, wizard, or fairy godmother. He also mentions they closed up in general and that they're going to figure out why. Hit 1 if you want to learn. If you want John to learn about the dwarves and the gnomes. Hit 2 if you are interested in in the flying trains. Okay, so we'll hit 2 this time. Hebert tells Johnny he was in a flying train due to the magical mineral quicksilver that permeates the lands and allows modern conveniences. He explains that when a tourist first visits, they always step into a flying train if one's running. While not strictly necessary, it sets up vacation in a magical way. Hebert also states that these days there aren't many trains running. Hit 1 if you want to know about dwarves and gnomes. So okay, so um, that was the game, and then this is how I'm adding them, right? I have a plug-in here that I wrote that gives me an add button. And here, let's go down. Let's go back to the okay. So this is going to be the origin here, and if I hit plus, then it adds a room, and then I can hit save room data and it saves it, and minus to subtract it, and so that's how I've been making the game so far. If you have no clue, okay. So let's see. Anyways, so Brew, if you're watching, I do talk about the game and about building the game, but it was not getting me any viewers because it was too boring. I could actually pull up a previous stream, or you could pull up a previous stream if you're so inclined. Um, but so yeah, so it just take me ages. So I go, okay, so let's see. We're in the Princess Prep office, okay? So the description here is filing cabinet to John's left is open, files and papers strewn about, desk chairs turned upside down, desk itself is open. The plant to his right seems to be shaking. In fact, it seems to have something inside of it. Hit 1 if you want to check out so I was thinking, okay, now you're inside Princess Prep headmistress office, and there's no headmistress there. There's nothing there. There's the plants. There's a desk, and it looks like the room's been turned upside down. Okay, so how do I get from that to now? This is a completely unrelated page here. We're switching characters here. Zanzibar does some more shows in some other villages, so it's going to lead to that. Now, of course, that story beat doesn't directly lead to this one, But I needed to figure out, okay, what kind of information is he going to find out in this? He's going to examine the filing cabinet, so he'll have some history. He'll release the headmistress who's trapped inside the plant. I had to come up with all this stuff. It's just so terribly. Um, let's see here. Hold on a sec. You know why. Um. Okay. So what I found out is this is incredibly boring. People, once you see me do the thing, and I use AI a lot, so I'll go to ChatGPT or to Grok depending on what I'm using at the time, and then I'll ask a question. I'll say, okay, what kind of stuff is going to be in here? What do I do here? What would be a good idea? And I don't usually directly take the ideas. In other words, all this idea of this stuff coming up was my own idea. But then I'd say, there's going to be a filing cabinet in here, and so I need to think about, what kind of interesting stuff could the filing cabinet hold, even though it's not necessarily directly applicable to the current situation. The current situation, the information you need is that the princess was supposed to go to the Grand Enchanted Landing Hotel first before a speaking engagement at Princess Prep, before she was kidnapped. And so that's the real clue. But then I realized, it's not going to be devoid of stuff. And if you're going to have something a setting which has certain things in it on purpose, uh, like an office would have a filing cabinet, right? And so I'm going to have the filing cabinet there. But with the filing cabinets there, isn't somebody going to want to try to look inside it? Well, should I have some information inside it or not? Um, and so anyways, I go through this process. I ask the AI. I get some ideas. I mostly don't use AI ideas. I use my own ideas, but it usually sparks some stuff. And so I go through this, and at first I was doing like one story beat a day, bridging the gap, and that was actually pretty quick. But later on, I started getting to the place where there's some logical issues. For instance, you have to get into the headmistress's office through a window in the back that's been boarded up. You need to pull the boards off of that. You need to find something to do that with. But your first instinct is once you find a pry bar, you're gonna want to go to the front door and try it on the front door first, because naturally you think front door. You don't think back door. And maybe if you played adventure games for a while, you're kind of going, I'll just go through the back door. I won't worry about the front door, right? And that would be fine. But I had to think, what can stop them from going through the front door? What can And I had to figure out. Well, they have those lock bars that they put on like in like old castles and stuff, so that when you tried to push through, it would push against this bar, and you couldn't get through unless you had a battering ram or something. So all this stuff was just taking horrendous amounts of time. Okay, so Baru, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. Still, yes, we'll be getting into the game momentarily, and momentarily I mean probably tomorrow, because I only have 30 minutes today on this part, because I split up my stream. I used to do a 3 to 4 hour stream, but then I'd have a break, and so it'd be on break for the longest time. And so I figured it would be better if I just split it up into 2 streams, still have my long break, and then I could come back. And so the first half is usually about the game itself or the story, about building the game, and then the second one is there's a layout tool that I'm making right now here. I'll just show that briefly, which will be in part two. Um, it's 12:30 my time. I'll be done here at 1, and at 2 p.m. my time, which is Eastern U.S. time. Um, I will be back for part two. In part two, I'll be doing more of this. In fact, the thing that I got done last is the selection box. So this selects different deals, and it took me forever to get this. And yes, I was using the AI to help me do it, and it was a pain in the butt. Eventually, I got it. Okay, so so the second half, I always do like coding or something of that nature, technical. Um, and the first half is always the story in the game itself. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I will eventually be talking about the game, and it'll be tomorrow. So if you don't want to watch, if you've already gone, then you're not going to be seeing this or hearing this anyways. But if you stick to it, if you come back tomorrow, I'll be talking directly about the game. Okay, so now let me go back to what I was saying. So and Brew, no offense taken, I totally get it. Totally, totally boring seeing some guy just talking about stuff. And I also warn that since I have ADHD or ADD or whatever you want to say, I haven't been diagnosed since I was a kid, but I have real bad attention deficit. It just I get distracted so easily, and then sometimes I even forget what I was doing last. Um, anyways, so back to what I was doing, was explaining why I used going back to formula. It was a line from Spider-Man where the board of Osborn, um, his company, was kicking him out, and they didn't want to use his serum stuff or whatever he was developing, and they said they were gonna recommend to going back to formula, and then that's when he gets all mad and stuff, and takes it himself, and you know that's when he yeah. Anyways, if you've seen the movie, so I'm kind of doing like that. I'm going back to the drawing board. I'm going back to the start. I'm going to reconstruct, and the reason I say reconstruct is because um, I'm not going to be basing it on the way that they originally read before I started this. I'm gonna be reconstructing the original pages, but I'm going to be using the wording and descriptions that are currently in here. So I'm going to go back to the list of rooms, and then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to essentially remove. I'm going to remove these. I, I I should say. Well, I can say remove. I'll be essentially removing the in between deals here. Like from here to here, there was two choices to go down to here or go down to here, but it's just going to automatically go to here, straight to here, from here to here, and then from here to this one, and then this one goes to this one, and then this one goes to this one, and the single threaded ones. So all these I'm going to remove them in the project. I also have a copy of them. I always back them up, and I will actually be using those later on when I reconstruct it. But for now, the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to start taking out all of these just so I have kind of almost the way it looked back in the beginning. And probably, I can probably, uh, what I'll do is, um, how do I say this? I'll find the version where the rooms were just the base rooms here. I go back through a few of my backups, and if the format hasn't changed, because the format has changed quite a bit since originally. But I'm gonna go back through, and then I'm gonna copy the correct ones over. Anyways, it's a process. I'll just do it tomorrow. Uh, I mean, I could start today if I'm done. I'm not sure if I'm done yet talking. Okay. So the whole reason I'm talking is just because I've been off a week, and because I'm going to kind of restart the process. And so it takes a while to explain everything that's going on. So really, I'm mostly just doing this talking for the people that already watch or listen or kind of know what's going on that popped in occasionally. So apologies to anybody that's new or anybody that doesn't come here very often uh, for that. And it's cool, you know. I don't have that many viewers watchers anyways. So even if you never came back and never looked at it again, it wouldn't be. I'm not trying to trivialize anybody that wants to come here and watch something. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that it you don't matter or whatever. I'm just simply saying that it's okay even if I lose a couple because I don't have that many to start with, and so since I'm starting over and kind of starting over, sort of, I'll get people either coming back or new people or whatever. Hopefully, the change will be a positive change. Um, Hopefully, it will be it will actually bring people in here. So yeah. So I mean, it's okay. Um, my feelings aren't hurt. You didn't offend me or make me mad or anything. Um, I just realized that nobody really cares about the game that much. That's not true. I mean, a couple of you guys that have stayed here through since the beginning are just supporting me to support me. Maybe not even caring about the game or anything. A couple of guys, a couple of you suggested that you like the story and whatever, which is cool, which I like. Um, but yeah, so I am gonna essentially start over in a sense. Not like I said, not completely from scratch, but I'm gonna start over, and then hopefully I will get through phase one within a few months completely, start to finish, where I release it. My plan is to release as each phase gets finished, so there'll be complete game or complete narrative, complete thing with each release. No, it's gonna be the same story. It's the same game, even though eventually it's going to be a fully interactive point and click adventure, graphic adventure. Um, but yeah, so hopefully this means that the phases will go quicker. It should go quicker anyways too, because I add a little bit at each phase, and then I'm supposed to add a little bit of extra story at each phase. So introduce more, split them up into more areas, and so hopefully I can get that done. Hopefully that'll work, and we'll see. Anyways, um, now I've only 20 minutes, so I don't know how much I can get done just yet. Yeah, the visual aspect is I'm planning on starting to do some practice sketches, maybe some concepting or whatever, and I'm going to record it offline, and then I'm going to play it while I'm describing other stuff, while I'm actually speaking about the story and stuff, so that you'll at least have something to look at. So let's see if I can get this going again. Let's see if I can get people actually watching. My devlogs will probably be a little bit different too. Um, I've actually um, I got 38 and 39 were already done that I haven't uploaded yet, and 40 I was working on 40 and 41 I believe, and the rest I haven't actually worked on just because they don't get that many views either. If I wait a month, they get 30 something views around, and that's not guaranteed. It's just generally it's in the 20s and 30s number of views. So those are pretty boring to watch too. So I have to figure out something different. Make a real devlog, and what I mean by a real devlog is this is just a clips of the results of what I got done that day, set up in chronological order. But what I should probably do when I do a devlog is I'm gonna have the replay buffer in OBS working, and I'm gonna record 5 minutes or so, or however long it lets me do a backup recording for. That way I can I can save certain areas when I just get something just got done. I hit the thing, and then I'll at least I'll have a clip of me actually developing stuff and actually showing progress instead of just saying, "Well, this is what I got done," and maybe showing a little bit of where it's at, which isn't this isn't very much. It's not very interesting. I'll make it. It'll be a little bit more interesting later when I do this other thing. In fact, I'll probably do like one update per month, and it should be the interesting stuff of me developing the game from the streams, and it'll be edited and it'll look nice. I'll have narration and whatever, maybe a script. I don't know. I'm gonna try to make a kind of a proper deal. Okay, so that being said, um, let us. So I'm gonna make a. We're gonna do the backup part first. So let me see. I only have about 15 minutes left in this part. So oh, oh, that's okay. That's that. 4 people watching like usual, which is all right. Um, I had to take a few minutes away to play this. Um, yeah, he was, but he's not out. Okay. No problem. And I'll probably be doing some real work in the game tomorrow. I have about 15 minutes left in part 1 today. So the most I will get to is doing some backups because I'm drastically changing it. That being said, if you're into coding, I'm using GDScript in Redot 4.3. I'll be back at 2 p.m. Eastern US, which is like 7 p.m. UK time. Yeah, I'm going to remove I actually use GitHub with GitHub desktop. So yeah, but I always like to just do manual backup copies. Just do manual backup copies for things like the rooms, so I can easily switch back to it if I need to. Versus, I don't really know much about Git in general, and GitHub desktop does what I need it to. Okay, well, anyways, yeah. So yeah. what I use is I GitHub and GitHub Desktop, and I'm on Linux Mint, so it's actually what Shift key or whatever it's called. It's unofficial port, I guess, of GitHub Desktop, and that's what I use for backup. But when I'm working on when I'm working on a project, sometimes I like to just make a copy of the project or a copy of certain folders, just so I can just go instantly back to them. I can just copy something back over without the hassle of doing all the Git stuff, reverting and stuff. In fact, I tried a couple of times reverting with GitHub Desktop, only to somehow screw it up because I didn't understand how it worked. To where I had to went to GitHub and I went to the page for the for the commit, and then I literally took the source code and I copied it back into my source code. So yeah, I mean it's dumb. It's because I need to learn it how to use it. But in any case, so yeah, I like to do. I kind of like. Traditionally, what I've always done is I've always taken the project, I'd zip it up, I'd store it somewhere, and then I keep multiple copies. And if I needed to go back to something, I'd just open up a previous copy and pull what I needed out. And it's not really a big deal in the sense that there hasn't been any major big things where I had to completely revert to something, that just a copy over wouldn't like fix. So so yeah. I am using GitHub Desktop though, so I will be using that. In fact, all of my room backups, like this is the last room backup here. Okay, and these are all the rooms are essentially they're pages, but they're all JSON files. In fact, I don't know if you here. Let me show you this real quick. It's just a JSON with an ID, which is the name of the room or the page, a label, which is a human readable name. It doesn't have the little location thing on there. And later on, I'm going to change my location uh, file names again. Probably I already changed it multiple times. Here's the description. These are the doors, and doors are essentially links to other pages, other rooms. So door to Wizard U Trophy Room 21, right? Choice is basically the thing that you push, and then destination is the actual ID of the room there. So so that I got like several hundred of these. See if I can forget. Can I deselect? Yeah, I can deselect there like that. Um, See, there's 237 items in here. This is just in the backup. If we go into the regular rooms here, this has 263 items, right? So these are all rooms, all that I've done. It takes forever. Anyways, another friend asked for help. Um, don't sweat it. Come in when you can, and I'm on. And don't when you can't, or when you don't feel like it. You may just want to play some games or something. I don't have like I want everybody to come in and watch, but the practicality, right? You have social life, you have parents maybe, you have a job maybe, you have school maybe, you have all kinds of different things, and sometimes you don't want to watch somebody stream, especially if it's going to be boring anyways. So I don't have a problem. If you're drawn away, come back. When I got something interesting to show. I don't even mind if you don't come when it really is boring, because sometimes it is, and sometimes game development is boring anyways, because sometimes you have to just do a bunch of repetitive stuff, or you know, yeah, there's little things you need for look and feel. There's endless things you need to tweak or whatever, features to add and stuff. So it's not always going to be like really super fun to watch. But I'm going to try to make this fun. I'm going to try to make it interesting by having visual stuff, like I said later on, and we're going to see faster progress. I hope. I hope there'll be faster progress. Anywho, we're going to make a backup of this. And I think, yeah, so what I would do is I'm going to go to one of my previous versions of the rooms that I had, and the one that has the least amount of rooms in it, least amount of JSON files, um, sans the meta files. Um, I used to have room positions in separate meta files. There were also JSON, but meta is kind of problematic, and plus it's only for the layout tool. These are actually for the game, so I decided to actually decided to move the meta files to a different folder. But then I think is that maybe that's what I did. Um, all right, where's I don't know why I closed it, but I guess I closed redot here. Just because of what I was going to do. I did that. Okay, so I think the meta files are still in a separate layout tool data. Oh yeah, I decided it used to be .meta, and then I just instead of interfering with stuff, I decided to name them JSON, .metadata.json, so that you know that these are room metadata. These are just positions where the rooms are. Eventually, I have another file in here. Here, let's open up one of these. Let's see if it'll open up in a text file here. Oh, it opens up here in Redot, but there's just X and Y. It's just a position right here. So let's just close. Um, okay, and then I have one more file in here. Project, and this one says position. This is the main position and zoom factor. Eventually, this is going to contain all of the metadata information. It's going to contain all the information, room informations in there, so that I don't have so many files. Not that it really matters that much. I could leave them like this, maybe, if I wanted to. Maybe I have all the metadata file stuff in separate files, but maybe eventually the JSON stuff will be in like a single file or something. I don't know. It just kind of depends. But okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it again, and then wonder why I closed it a second later. But okay. So I've only got 5 minutes left here in these upgrade games. Um, upgrade games. Oh yeah, bit of too much of a checklist simulator. This not nothing to do with me. It's just reading this conversation. Um I was wondering if it had anything to do with what I just said. Okay, so let's go back in here. So this is what we're gonna do. We're going to cut this. We're going to go into, I believe, in here. We're gonna go ahead and yeah, this has 418 items. Oh, yeah, this has 418 items because this included the metadata files. And now that I'm just doing the rooms themselves, okay, created. So these are all created the same day. They weren't created the same day. It's backup one. Yeah, this had the original 94 here. Looks like. Yeah. So I'll be looking at that shortly. Two, the same way. I think I changed a few things for that. 3. I still have the T scene in that. This is where I started having the meta files, and so these are all okay. So all these JSONs were based off of some text I wrote, and then I had uh, one of the AIs help me build a Python script that would actually turn it into individual JSON files. Or see, we're starting to get um, even more rooms in here. Back up 5. Now this is where I had changed the. I basically changed when I moved the meta files and stuff. Um, I anyways, I had them all in this one deal, so that's the latest one. So when I hit paste here, I'm gonna call this 6. I believe rename. So I guess the newest one is gonna be the last number. Rooms back up 6. How come? Rename. Control C. Rename. Control V. 6. Oh, had to do with being created time. I see. Okay, so and then these are the old rooms. I had completely different naming convention there. Okay, so time's about up. Let me finish this off because at least I will have done the one thing. So let's do this. Copy, and we're gonna paste, and then we're gonna rename that to rooms backup. So, okay, so now I have a version of the current rooms as they stand. So it's 263 rooms here. Those are progress bars everywhere. Someone should make it as a joke game. Checklist simulator. Upgrade. Delete. Or some such. Okay, anyways. Okay, so I didn't really do that much today, that's okay. I was just explaining what I was doing. So there you have it. When I get to part 2, I'll actually be doing some real coding today because not much is going to be changing with that. Although maybe I'll try to do something there that's also kind of interesting to look at. Maybe. Well, I mean, it might be kind of interesting, anyways, because it's going to show up visually when I do stuff, when I add stuff to the layout tool. Anyways, so I want to thank everyone for where's OBS? I want to thank everyone for joining me today and not getting much done, which is okay. And I'll see you in part 2, if not tomorrow. And tomorrow is when I'll be starting in earnest, trying to reconstruct my original room layout with the current rooms names and numbers and stuff. And I'll have to go through a few things. I'm not sure how long it'll take. It might take a little while because I have to read through all the rooms. I have to make sure that the rooms are the right rooms. And I'll have to re-engage the door to be into the next door. So I'm not going to just copy the old rooms over and start from scratch that ways. I'm actually going to be using the current rooms the way that they are, but I'll be removing some of those doors. So I have to go room by room and take out chunks and then reconnect the rooms so that have a fresh start. Then once I'm at the reconstructed um, timeline or whatever you want to call it, then I'm going to take each of those and I'm going to see how to combine them. That'll be kind of take a little time too, because I have to read them. I have to figure out, okay, what goes together. What things, and yeah. So, anyways, roughly blocking them in about 10 story beats or 10 events, 10 pages at a time, more or less, depending on location and stuff. Maybe whenever I switch a character um, or a location, will be when I have a new page. And so we'll see how much we can combine to make as few pages as possible. Like I said, down to a minimum about 10, and then I can re-add in um, story in deals, kind of like I was doing. And then eventually I should have a working phase one first pass, and then the second pass is to make it sound like a story, and then a little bit of polish, and then releasing it somewhere itch.io or something for anybody to go through if they so choose. Anyways, yeah. So thanks, and I will see you later. Thanks for watching part 1.